Guess who's having thoughts, feelings, and opinions again? I've been thinking about the phrase "I'm just a girl" since it first started. In fact, I remember sitting with my housemate while she was smoking outside and going on a full rant about the trend of "I'm just a girl" and what I could see it turning into versus how it began, or the different sides of being just a girl, as she was using it as an excuse to text her ex. I don't know why I found this phrase so interesting, but I did, and I'm going to assume you find it interesting too, because why else are you here? So this phrase comes from some iconic pop culture moments. Oh my god, do I have a treat for you. Notting Hill came out in 1999. Brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, where have you been? What rock do you live under? And how is Patrick doing? Don't forget, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. You know the rest, hopefully. Amazing, incredible moment of cinema. Actually iconic, and also the soft, pure nature in the way that she did it. You know, she could not help those feelings. She is just a girl, and she is suffering from feelings. And I get that. That's me. Daily. And it's not just Notting Hill either. Gwen Stefani, bad bitch icon and lead singer of No Doubt, wrote the song Just a Girl in 1995. Her writing debut as well. Not a lot of people know that. Her brother wrote all the songs up until 1994 when he left. Gwen Stefani basically said, for American songwriter, "I wouldn't trade female for being anything, but the guys don't understand what a burden it can be sometimes." The song Just a Girl stems from when she was frustrated that her dad had a go at her. She drove home at 1 a.m. from her bandmate's house. Her dad had a massive go at her, and she was really frustrated with that. She was like, it's not fair that I'm being treated differently to all of my male peers in the band and all of my male friends, and they really just don't get it. So she wrote a song about it, and it's a banger. I've seen a lot of people on TikTok who have said it's a direct call out to boys will be boys. I couldn't find any quotes to back that up. I also think that the quotes I have found of her talking about the song and the argument she got in with her dad and her frustrations around that don't really tie into boys will be boys culture, but do tie into like the privilege difference, I guess you could say. So I can see how some people have assumed that. It's just not an assumption I would make. And I thought I should clarify both of these things because they're kind of important. Yeah. The soft meaning from Notting Hill mixed with the pure cunt, the pure bad bitchery that is Just a Girl from No Doubt, perfectly encapsulates this trend. Because in the beginning, right, this trend, in my humble opinion, was ironic. It was a clear call out to people who were still believing in stereotypes, because honestly, get a grip at this point. It was the same irony that the song got across. It was this whole element of like, why should I know this? I'm just a girl. Playing on people's expectations of women in the 20th century. Or are we in the 21st century now? No. Wait. Yes. I don't know, I'm just a girl. It felt like this collective inside joke. This like shared experience that just encapsulates girlhood. It was just great to see people enjoying being a girl again as well. I feel like there's so much pressure for girls to compete with other girls, and this trend just was like, no, we're all just girls, and it's perfect. I know that this is a somewhat common point of view nowadays, or at least certain people have talked about the hate that teenage girls get for their interests, but some of those people make fun of those girls behind their backs and say they're not funny. So I'm going to reiterate it. Basically, from a very young age, girls are taught to hate their interests, hate other teenage girls' interests, and to compete. Compete for what, you may ask? No fucking clue, but we all do it. And this trend fought against that, because it was a community. It was, yeah, she's just a girl and I'm just a girl. And we're all just girls. I cannot put into words the sheer joy that I would get watching these TikToks of a girl being like, oh yeah, of course I don't know how to change a tyre, I'm just a girl. So somebody else would do it for her, because you're playing on people's expectations for yourself. Like, some would call that manipulation. I probably would. But also, like, if you expect that of me, that's on you. Oh, it's definitely manipulation. But it was funny. It was funny. It was haha funny. Really? You think I can't do this thing because I'm a girl? Okay, you can do it for me then. I remember seeing so many TikToks as well, where the comments were just full of men calling these women every name under the sun because they didn't get the joke. They were like, yeah, no wonder you don't have a dad. yeah, why is anybody gonna want to marry you now? What worth do you add? All of these comments. It's one thing when it was a joke. It's another thing when you misinterpret the joke entirely and you take it seriously and then you cry about it in the comment section of like a 16-year-old. Get a grip, Brian. Also, I'm fully aware that not all men do this. I'm aware, I know. But if you're one of the men shitting themselves and crying right now, then maybe ask yourself, does the shoe fit? If the shoe doesn't fit, then why would you be so upset? And I know it's the whole argument of like, oh, but we just... Yeah, shut up. This isn't about you. Today, this isn't about you. This trend, as most trends do, adapted into something that has both good and bad. Because just like people, things can be good and bad, and grey areas are all around us, and everything is very complicated and scary, and I don't quite understand what's happening. I think, for me, the thing that annoyed me the most... There are a couple of things that annoyed me, but the thing that annoyed me the most is I saw a girl tweet about the situation in Palestine, and she didn't have the best take. She didn't know her information or her facts. We'll leave it at that. And her response was, her response to people being like, hey, this isn't quite right and this is actually a really damaging point of view to have, was, it's not my fault, I don't know anything, I'm just a girl. And that really struck a chord with me. That really aggravated me. Because people are actively trying to educate you. And you're using this silly little trend that makes fun of people who underestimate us as women to get away with ignorance. That's not what this is about. This is fun and games. This is shits and giggles. This isn't you supporting Israel. Because that's not just a girl like you. It's kind of funny how fear creeps in even into our jokes. In a way of like, we use it to excuse ignorance and infantilize ourselves because we're afraid of aging. And I'm going to get into that yet. It quickly went from this really fun joke of mocking people who thought so little of us into people being like, oh, I'm literally just a 36-year-old girl. You're almost 40. You're a woman. And that's okay. It felt very sudden, but maybe that was just my For You page while I was like researching and digging into these things. But it became very suddenly about our struggles with aging and our need to be young, because we've been taught very early on that our youth is all that we're worth, and when we get old, we become useless. Unless we qualify as a MILF, but I don't really know how that works. The original meaning of being just a girl kind of got lost with everybody. It was, I'm just a girl. What do you mean I have to know about these things? What do you mean I'm like old now? I'm just a girl. In my head, I'm just a girl. What do you mean I'm aging? Oh, I'm just a girl. What do you mean I have to like actually know these things and take an interest in current day politics? I'm just a girl. What do you mean people are dying? It suddenly became a lot more than making fun of people who belittled us, and it became an excuse. And don't even get me started on girl dinner. Oh my god, girl dinner. I saw this tweet and it said, is it girl dinner or is it disordered eating? A girl dinner is a little hodgepodge of fun foods, not a cigarette and a sugar-free Red Bull. Have we learnt nothing from Tumblr? I'm not wanting to dwell too much into the way the phrase has been used to excuse ignorance. I don't agree with it, and it kind of makes me a little bit icky that people can use it this way. My main focus is the way that it transforms with use, rather than the beginning and end. Because who am I to say? This idea of transformation really fascinated me. Just as humans evolve, so do our ideas and our jokes. And it's really fascinating to see how they kind of succumb and twist and turn with our fears and our struggles and our hubris and etc, etc. And also to watch people's greed turn this silly little phrase into a marketing tool. It just makes me giggle. My housemate, I love her to bits. My housemate hates being influenced, and the thing that took her to stop saying girl dinner was the fact that Wendy's did a girl dinner meal. And she was like, no, not doing it anymore. Because it creeps into our brains. And it's just like, this is how the world works now. I'll let you guys decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just work here. I think the meaning that it had at the beginning versus the meaning it has now is very interesting, and it's very telling of the current state of human nature and the world that we live in, that things so quickly take almost a turn for the worse, if that makes sense. At the end of the day though, is it that serious? No. Did it need a whole YouTube video on it? Perhaps not. Is it a fun little phrase I say when I don't want to do the washing up? Abso-fucking-lutely. And if you don't agree with me on this video and you're like, oh, she's so wrong about this, she's so wrong about that, I need you to just keep in mind for a second that I don't know anything. I'm just a girl.